Hi guys, welcome back to the big sew along. Today I have 3 patterns for you. I did end up making the Elope top and pants from Tina Gibbons, which we talked about for a second last week. So I'll get to that in a minute. I also did a pattern from the fabricstore.com, where you guys know I got a lot of my linen. They have a whole range of free patterns. They also have some patterns for sale on their website, but this one happens to be a free pattern. It's a top. It's called the Agustina, Agustina, Agustina. It is just really like a short, square, boxy top. It's a very popular style right now. This one has a bound neckline, and it has like a wider cuff on the sleeves. I will show you a picture of that here. But let's see. So for their patterns, and this is a free pattern, so I've never purchased one of their patterns before, so I don't know if the sizing and stuff is different for that. But for this pattern, the sizes are extra small through 4X. And this is just a top, so the bust is the most important measurement. The measurement for the bust is 33 inches to 56 inches. I would, based on their measurement chart, I would really fall into the size large, which is also like a 12-14, I guess. But most often I end up going with the size 8-10. I find the patterns to be very generous. I think, I know that on this pattern the seam allowances are 5/8 of an inch, and I think that they are on their other patterns as well, although I have not made one of their other patterns, so I couldn't say for sure. The other thing that's really nice is these guys have a blog called The Thread, and if you go to their website, which I will link down below, I think they have a video tutorial for making each of their patterns. I know they do for this one, and I know they do for a bunch of them, so I don't know if it's all of them, but I think it's pretty likely that it is. Anyways, so this is the Agustina pattern. I used for this, I think it says on here for the size 8-10 up to 8-10, it says 1 yard of fabric, and that's assuming your fabric is 60 inches wide. 12, 14, 16, 18 is 1.5 yards, and then 20, 22, 24, 26, and 28, 30 all take 2 yards. So I actually used the linen that was left over from the Merchant & Mills Evie pants. Was it Eve or Evie? Whatever. That we made a few weeks ago, and it's like a heavier weight. I actually think it's probably their mid-weight, but it feels a little heavier to me. It's like a pewtery kind of gray linen. I love this linen. This is literally all I had left. I had just enough to make this top after I made those pants from a few weeks ago. So yeah, I really like this top. This is it straight out of the box. I made no alterations. Like I said, I did go down in size based on their finished garment measurement, which they do have on their chart. So anyway, that was garment number 1. I really like it. I'm very happy with the way it came out. I used leftover fabric because I'd never made this pattern before. It's not like a fitted garment or anything, so I wasn't really terribly worried about the fit, but it is pretty darn cute. And I will make it again. Probably again in some other scrap fabric, since it seems to be small enough to fit on larger pieces of scraps. Okay, the next thing we did was the Elope from Tina Gibbons. This is the top and pant, and I did both. So the Elope pant is, it says on here that it requires 2.5 yards or 2.2 meters, and again, I made the medium. Anyways, I did not actually, I don't think I made any alterations to this pant, except for they call for a 1 inch wide elastic, and I decided to use 1/2 inch wide elastic, which I just did as a fold over. Like I sewed it to, I'm sorry, there's a little bit of a glare here from my window. I'm not sure what that's about today. It's rainy, so I don't know why I'm getting anything. Anyway, I sewed my elastic to the wrong side of my waistband, and then I just folded it over one more time and stitched it down. On a lightweight pant like this, I really like this like skinny, lightweight elastic for the waistband. The other thing is, this pant has cuffs that are sewn separately and attached, and they have these, I don't know if you can see them on here because of course I made it in a dark color, but this is the cuff, and it has these, I wonder if I'm going to have to move. It has these pleats. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my sunlight in here today. Really weird. I might try moving. Okay, well, I tried moving my camera. I don't know if that's actually going to help us at all. But in any case, it has these pleats. They're actually darts that you put in the hem, in the cuff part. And in the instructions, they're meant to be sewn and then folded to the outside and stitched down. I folded them to the inside just like a regular old-fashioned dart, so they're not an exposed dart. Although I don't dislike that. I actually just wasn't paying attention when I made these, and I had it on the wrong side, and I had already serged my seam together on the sides, and I was like, I'm not gonna change it, we'll just leave it. It does give a really cool, like sort of lantern-y shape to the hem. On this one, the other alteration that I did is, as it's written, this pattern, once you get those darts in the hem, it actually makes a real like crescent-y kind of shape, like this, like the opening is a real crescent shape. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna like that, so I cut part of that crescent off so that it was just straight across, just like that, instead of coming down on both the right and the left side. I like it this way, although I can't say I didn't like it the other way. I'm not really sure because I didn't bind it all together. So I did this way. I like it. I think the next time I make these pants, I will sew the pleats to the outside, and I will probably also leave that crescent kind of shape to the hem, and just see how I like that. But these are cute, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say about these. They fit like the a lot like the Pleat pant. Kind of think might be a little bit narrower in the body and in the leg as well, but not a lot. So if you like the Pleat pant, I'm guessing that you'll like this. I really like that hem detail. It's very cute. The next thing I made was the Elope top. And so for this, it says you're going to need 3.5 yards or 3.25 meters. The width under the arm on this is going to be like 26.5 times 2, so 53 inches to 60 inches under the bust. I again made the medium. However, this time on this pattern I did make some alterations, and I'll just show you here really quickly in a short clip here in a second. I'll show you how I made those alterations to my pattern. So this is supposed to be the center front and also center back. I folded this in, I just folded it under 1 inch all the way up. So when you cut this, because you're cutting the front and the back on the fold, you've eliminated 4 inches from this pattern. By doing that. That helped a lot with the neckline, which was too big. I knew that already because I measured it. The only other thing I did was at the hem, this top curves upwards towards the center on both the front and the back, which I don't dislike. I just decided on this one I wanted it to be more of a high-low, so I think I added 2 inches to the center back. And then just cut it straight across and sort of curved it up to meet at this edge right here, so that the back would dip down a little bit, and then the front, so it was just like this, and I really just used that curve to sort of curve it back up into the side seam. That way it's just a little bit longer. Sometimes when I cut a top like this, it doesn't have a lot of structure. The back rides up a little bit anyway, so I prefer to have it a little bit longer than the front, just so it doesn't look completely unbalanced from the side. So the first one of these I made this in a shirtweight cotton. It's a really cute cotton print, and I'm pretty sure I got this from marcytilton.com back at the beginning of COVID when my local fabric store was closed, but other people were still shipping out. I like this because it's got like a really cute Parisian sort of themed print. However, I actually feel like this is maybe a little teeny bit heavier than like a regular shirt weight. It's maybe not quilting cotton, it's a little bit softer than that, but in any case, the shirt itself is cute. This is not really the best fabric, and I'll show you a picture of me in this so you can judge for yourselves. Maybe after I wash it a few times, I will like it a little bit better. It's just this fabric I feel like is a little bit, it isn't quite drapey enough for this particular garment. Also on this version, I just did a pleated, a gathered and bound cuff on the sleeves. Again, in the pattern, it calls for darts, which I really like. And again, they're supposed to be sewn to the outside and top stitched down, which I did on my second version. I'll show you in a second. For this version, for some reason, I don't know why, I just did it this way. I decided just to gather the cuffs and bind them. So I like the top. I think I'm happy with the alterations I made to the pattern. I think that those were good alterations. Not crazy about it in this particular fabric, although I will wear it, and we'll see. Like I said, maybe after I wash it a few times, it'll soften up and I'll like it more. So not exactly a huge success, but also not a total failure. The second version I made of this is, oh, you know what? And this top actually has a pocket. I did not put the pocket on the first version. This was really sort of like a wearable muslin. I didn't have plans for this fabric and I thought it would work, so we gave it a shot. Second version, I did in a white linen. This linen is actually from my local fabric store, Haberman Fabrics. And this time I did do the darts on the sleeves. I don't know if you can see those because again, this weirdo glare going on back here, but whatever. That's what they look like, and they're stitched down on the loose edge. And then I also did do the pocket on this one, and I used the selvage edge for part of my pocket. I don't know if you can really see that there either, but I really like the way it came out. I didn't change anything else between the first version and the second version. However, and I'll show you this on also. I really like it in the linen. I just think it has a much nicer drape. And I definitely want to make this again. This is actually the longer sleeve version. You have like, I think 3 different sleeve length versions. This is the longest of the 3. I might make this a slightly shorter version of the sleeve next time. And also, you'll see when I have this on, the sleeve is still pretty darn wide. I think I might taper it in just a tiny bit on the next version. And the only other thing I'm going to do differently is I'm going to cut my neckline down a little bit in the front because it comes up a little high on me. It's not running back or anything like that, but it is just a little bit high. Not a lot, and again, I can still wear it and I really like it. But I'll like it better with a slightly lower neckline. So I'm not sure if I said this already, but this pattern calls for 3.5 yards or 3.25 meters. Now for this one, which is the medium, and note that I did also narrow it by a solid inch. So that would be like 4 inches of fabric that you're using less than would be required in the regular pattern. But with that, I used scrap again for this. I had a I had maybe 3 yards or 4 yards of this, but I already made my Zelda slip dress from last week out of this fabric. So this is what I had left. And I had already cut like a big hunk into bias strips for my Zelda and for something else that I haven't done yet. So whatever I had left was this. This is 60-inch wide fabric, but I do not think there is any way I had 3.5 yards for this. I'm going to say I might have had 1.5 yards. It could have been a little bit more than that. I feel like that's not very likely. So those are my 3 patterns for this week. And then, you know, I'm actually going to show you really quickly here just a quick video on how I did this pocket, because I did feel like that could be a little bit confusing. So I'll show you that right now. Okay, so for the pocket on the elope, we just have one paper pattern piece. It's this little piece right here. That's the piece I cut from that. The other piece you need is a 12 by 3 inch strip. It's listed in the directions, but there's no actual piece for it. I cut my strip on the selvage because I wanted to use that as a design detail. Excuse me. You can do it, obviously you can do it any way you like, but I just decided I wanted to use that. I thought it would be cool to see that little edge. So the 3 other raw edges of my strip I've gone ahead and serged. And I've also serged all 3 edges of my pocket piece except for the curved piece. This is a side that gets sewn into the side of the top. So I'm not going to serge this now because it's going to get serged when I sew it into the seam. If you're not serging, you probably want to go ahead and finish these edges in some way right now. It's just going to be a lot easier. So for this, this is a side that gets sewed into the shirt. So these 2 sides are the sides we want to put together. So for the first one, and I think the seam allowances on this are actually 5/8 of an inch. But for my pocket, I'm only using a 3/8 of an inch. It's really not going to matter. Pocket's going to be a tiny bit bigger, but I don't really care about that. So I'm just going to sew from the top to where my pin entered, right there, at 3/8 of an inch, and then I'll be back. Okay, so that is our first side sewn down. Looks like that. This is the wrong side, obviously, and you can see right here where this little thread is where I've stopped sewing. So I'm going to take my scissors now, and I'm going to clip just this top piece, just the strip, not this piece under here. I'm just going to clip from where the corner is, like at a diagonal, right into where that little end point is. Just like that. Obviously not into the stitching, but right up to the stitching. Then we're going to lay this back down, and we're going to lay this flat. You can see now, because you have a little snip there, it'll lay pretty flat. And we're just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to start at this end. Oops. And we're going to sew at 3/8 of an inch. And we're going to sew right up to the point where we ended stitching before. You will just want to be sure that your snip is actually not inside your stitching line when you get there, because if it is, you're going to end up having a little bit of a hole in your pocket. So it's easier if you pull all this stuff out of the way like that. Just get it out of the way. You can see right there where that ends. And we're just going to stitch right up to that point. Start here, start at the raw edge, and sew into the corner. Okay, so that is what our tricky corner looks like when it's sewn. That's the wrong side. I've gone ahead and pressed mine, obviously, to give it a nice crease all around the edge. And I have also gone ahead and hemmed the top, and then I just serged mine and folded it under once. Okay, so now the tricky part, another tricky part, getting it onto the top. So this is my elope top front, and you can see right here, I just marked where my pocket is supposed to go with a pin. The top of the pocket is supposed to be right there, and remember, this is hemmed down. So it would be like that. And you can see how that curved edge lays right up against the curved edge there. So in order to figure out where the strip is going to lay, I'm just going to put a couple of pins in here to sort of mark it. You probably could use chalk, but since I'm using white linen, I'm sure it would not come out. It would come out of everything else, but you know. Okay, so that's essentially like a little map of where my pocket's supposed to be. So if this was a flat pocket, I would be sewing it right down just like that. But it's not. It's got this flap. So I'm just going to kind of line my top up with that pin. And I am just, for stability reasons, I'm going to put a couple of pins just in this side here so it doesn't move around. Maybe one up here at the top. So now I'm going to use this, the selvage edge of mine. If you're not using a selvage edge, it would be folded over like that, but you would do the exact same thing. I'm going to lay that right up against those pins. And I'm going to pin it down. So that one looks good. Don't forget to take out those pins that are under there because you don't want to sew over those. That looks good. That should be right there. One more pin in there. Now we're going to get to this corner, which is going to be a little funky. So I'm going to go ahead and line my bottom edge up against those pins and pin those in place. Pin that in place. Ouch. Just pin my finger in place. Like that. Oh, awkward here. Okay. So now, move that a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our sewing machine. I'm going to try to get this to lay as flat as possible. But I'm not going to do 2 rows of stitching. I'm actually just going to push this out of my way and pivot right here. So I'm going to put a pin, make sure I put it in the right direction. I'm going to put a pin right in here at the corner. And I'm going to do my best to not get any wrinkles in there. So I'm going to start at this edge. I'm going to sew right along here. I'm going to sew close to my selvage edge, so maybe a 1/4 of an inch away from the selvage edge. I'm going to come right up to this corner. Again, I'm going to just try to lay this flat as I get to it, as flat as I can. I'm going to put my needle down right here. I'm going to pivot. Whoops. And then I'm going to pull all of this stuff out of the way this direction and come up this way. I hope that makes sense. Let's see how it works. Okay, and there we have our pocket sewn down. It looks pretty good. It comes to a nice corner on both the shirt end and the pocket end. I'm pretty happy with that. Now the only other thing is we have to get this pocket into the side seam, and as you can see, it's dimensional. So it's this strip here makes it lift up off the top. So I'm essentially going to create a pleat here in the bottom at the shirt, at the seam edge. I'm more or less folding this strip in half. I want my selvage edge from that strip underneath to show, so mine is not quite in half, but it could be. I mean, you could put it right, those 2 seams right on top of each other. And then I'm just going to pin that in place, so it's like a little pleat in there, so that when you sew the top together, this will lay nice and flat, and it won't get all bunched up under there or anything. So I'm just going to baste this down just exactly like this, and then go ahead and finish my top as per the rest of the instructions. I don't think the instructions tell you to do this particular pleat thing. However, your options then are to try to sew it flat, which would look like that, and I don't like that. So I'm going to do the pleat right there, just like that. Also, I should say the directions call for the strip on your pocket to be 3 inches wide by 12 inches long. I did do that once. This is the 3 by 12, and I did not like that as well. I felt like it stood up off of the shirt too far. So I cut mine down to 2 inches by 12 inches, and I'm much happier with that. Okay, so I think that's it for the pocket. Now I'm just going to go sew the rest of this top together. Okay, so the only other thing I have this week is to show you really quickly. Last week we were talking about the Zelda slip, and I realized when I was looking at the pattern and talking it through, I realized that there's actually a Zelda pant as well. And even though I've had the pattern forever and I've made it a million times, I had no idea there was a Zelda pant. I probably knew that way back when I first got the pattern, and I don't know, maybe I never made it because it looks a lot like the Plinka pant, which I had already made and I already liked, so I think I just disregarded the Zelda pant. However, I printed up the pattern. I printed up the Zelda pant pattern, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick comparison on the two, so you could see the difference between the Zelda and the Plinka in case you're interested in trying one or the other. There's a little bit of a difference, so I just thought I would show you that really quickly. So this is the Plinka pant that we made a couple of weeks ago. You can see all of our style changes that we made on here. I just wanted to show you this compared to last week. I was talking about the Zelda, and I realized that there was a Zelda pant. So I wanted to compare the two. They actually look very similar. However, the Zelda, if I lay it over there, exactly right on top, you can see that the Zelda is, the biggest difference is it's a little bit narrower in the front, and it's a little bit narrower. I cut the same size in both of these. So it's a little bit narrower in the leg and also in the body. So if you like the Plinka pant, but you feel like that's just way too much baggy fabric, you might want to try the Zelda instead. That does come with the Zelda slip that we did last week. And that's it for this week, guys. I am not sure what we're going to be working on for next week. I'm thinking shirts, because I feel like even though it's 100 degrees outside and it's still August, I know that fall's around the corner somewhere, and I might really want a new shirt for fall, or a couple actually. So maybe a couple of shirts for next week. Not really sure yet. And that's it. I will see you guys all again next Thursday. I'll leave you with a short clip of me actually wearing some of these garments so you can see how they look in motion. All right, guys, have a great week. Thanks again for stopping by. Really appreciate your time. Take care.